How to use Teach a Student to Spell Level 6. Teach a Student to Spell is the follow-up workbook series to the Teach a Student to Read reading program, which strives to teach students accurate and complete information about the English spelling system. Level 6 consists of 36 lists of 1 to 4 bases each. The number of bases in each list depends on the size of the word family. One base is divided into 2 lessons because of the number of words in the word family. The activities focus on the 4 questions of structured word inquiry. 1. What does a word mean? 2. How is the word built? 3. What are the morphological and etymological relatives of the word? And 4. What are the sounds that matter? What are the letters doing? The goal of Level 6 is to study the spellings of English words using the structured word inquiry framework. Level 6 builds on the spelling rules introduced in Levels 3, 4, and 5. Level 6 also reinforces the prefixes, suffixes, and connecting vowels from Levels 2, 3, 4, and 5, while introducing additional prefixes and suffixes. At the beginning of the workbook is an explanation of IPA notation. IPA is the International Phonetic Association alphabet. IPA is a standardized representation of speech sounds in written form. The workbook includes a guide to IPA for those unfamiliar with the notation. For example, the letter that looks like a long S represents the initial consonant in she and shell. Many dictionaries use IPA to show pronunciation, so learning IPA notation is another beneficial skill that comes from using the Teach a Student to Spell program. Each of the 36 lists contains 1 to 4 bases each. Some are free bases, others are bound bases. Students will learn the spellings of words related through morphology rather than the lists of random, unrelated words found on traditional spelling lists. Each list provides information about the denotation and etymology of each base, followed by any pertinent information. For example, in List 1, for the base J-A-N-E, the base denotes gate, passageway. The replaceable E is a phonological marker, and J and I were originally different shapes for the same letter. Activity 1 answers the question, what does a word mean? The questions explore the denotation or meaning of the base. If the base is a free base, the student determines the word class or classes of the word and uses the word in context. The first activity reminds the student that the primary function of English spelling is to express meaning. Activity 2 answers the question, how is the word built? The student determines whether the base is a free base or a bound base. Understanding that words consist of morphemes is essential to understanding the English spelling system. Activity 3 answers the question, what are the morphological and etymological relatives of the word? In the first section, the student completes word sums of morphological relatives of the base. In the second section, the student provides the meanings of the morphemes in the morphological relatives. In the third section, the student writes the word sums for the words in the morphological family. In the fourth section, the student defines all the morphological relatives. The 4 sections focus on the morphological word family built from the base. Instead of learning the spellings of words in a random list, the student builds knowledge of related words, thus further learning how the English spelling system works. Activity 4 answers the questions, what are the sounds that matter and what are the letters doing? The student finally looks at the sounds and letters in the base and its morphological relatives. For example, one of the questions in the 4th activity for the base J-A-N-E asks, why is janitor spelled with an O, but janitress is not? The student should draw upon the spelling rule. One rule of English spelling is that every phonemic syllable must be written with at least one vowel letter, provided in Activity 3 to answer the question. Other important rules about the English spelling system are noted throughout the workbook. The primary function of English spelling is to represent meaning. Spelling is not just sounds written down. The spelling of a word reflects its meaning, parts, history, relatives, and finally sounds. Teach a Student to Spell Level 6 is the 6th follow-up workbook to the Teach a Student to Read reading program, which strives to teach students accurate and complete information about the English spelling system. Level 6 explicitly uses the structured word inquiry framework to help students understand how the English spelling system works. Each of the 4 activities focuses on each of the 4 questions of SWI. The spellings taught are of words related morphologically through word families. Students are not forced to memorize the spellings of random words in a list. Instead of only learning spelling through rote memorization, students will learn the reasons for the spellings of words, thus learning how the English writing system works.